Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Comedy of Errors, and today we get to hear from Adriana again in Act 2, Scene 2. Adriana, if you remember, is the wife of Antipholus of Ephesius, who we, the audience, haven't met yet. We've only met Antipholus of Syracuse, but there's two guys named Antipholus who look identical in this same town at the same time, and neither of them knows that, and nobody is actually aware of the fact that there's two of them in this town. So when Adriana sent Dromio of Ephesius to find Antipholus, he found Antipholus of Syracuse instead and was like, come home to dinner. He didn't know what he was talking about. Dromio goes back, he's like, your husband's gone crazy. She's like, you're nuts. She beats him. She sends him back out to find Antipholus. Meanwhile, Antipholus of Syracuse has had a chat with Dromio of Syracuse. They met up again, and he was like, you know, you were so silly talking to me about my wife and how I'm late for dinner. And Dromio's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because this is Dromio of Syracuse, not Dromio of Ephesius. So we've got all of these crossed communication lines and all of that sort of thing going on. And Adriana apparently did not trust Dromio of Ephesius to go find Antipholus, her husband of Ephesius, himself. So she went out with her sister Luciana to try to find Antipholus, and she finds Antipholus of Syracuse, not of Ephesius. And yesterday she starts laying into him. She's like, you know, it used to be that you loved me and that I was the center of your world and you loved everything that I did, and now you're looking elsewhere, and you can't, like, we can't divorce because we're so entwined, because we're married, and all this sort of stuff. And Antipholus of Syracuse is like, I've been in this town for about 2 hours. I have no idea who you are. You're definitely not my wife. And she's like, but Dromio has said all this. And they're like, how does she know that your name is Dromio? And Dromio's like, I've never seen this woman before in my life. And Luciana's like, you're being really rude to your wife. And both of the guys are like, we have no idea what you're talking about. This is all news to us. But Adriana is insistent, and she says, how ill it agrees with your gravity to counterfeit thus grossly with your slave, abetting him to thwart me in my mood. Be it my wrong, you are from me exempt, but wrong not that wrong with a more contempt. Come, I will fasten on this sleeve of thine. Thou art an elm, my husband, I a vine, whose weakness, married to thy stranger state, makes me with thy strength to communicate. If aught possess thee from me, it is dross, usurping ivy, briar, or idle moss, who, all for want of pruning, with intrusion, infect thy sap, and live on thy confusion. So she's taken a brief moment to stand up for herself again and say, you know, you conspiring with Dromio against me makes it that much worse. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm physically going to hold on to you as if I'm a vine growing around you, and anything that tries to separate us is gross and wrong and unnatural, because that's not going to happen. And all of the moss that is growing on the tree that is you is infecting your brain and making you confused. And Antipholus and Dromio continue to be like, I went crazy, right? Did you go crazy too? Have we both gone completely crazy? And Adriana and Luciana actually end up physically taking Antipholus and Dromio back to their home so that Antipholus can have dinner, and they set Dromio outside as like a watchman to prevent anybody else from getting in or getting out, because, you know, they want to protect the husband now that they've found him and claimed him and have him in their possession. So yeah, that's how Act 2, Scene 2 ends, is with Antipholus being physically dragged to Adriana's house by Adriana with Luciana in tow. And it's funny, at the end of the scene, Dromio's like, really? He says to Antipholus, he's like, really? I should do what they want? I should be like a porter? I should be like a bodyguard or a bouncer for their house? And Antipholus is like, I guess we're just going with it at this point. And yeah, so they just go with it. Antipholus of Syracuse goes to eat Antipholus of Ephesius' dinner because Adriana is insistent. So anyway, come on back tomorrow. We will dig into Act 3 and see what happens. We have to eventually meet the other Antipholus, right? So that's still coming, and we'll see how all of this stuff might sort itself out in the future. So I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.